The love of D&D? Well, it's funny because I absolutely hated it
She did.
when I started. So I started playing when I was 17 in high school with him. With a bunch of my friends, and my friend was just like, hey, we should play, and we kept putting it off, being like, nah, D&D is for nerds, which is so funny because we were absolutely nerds. We were doing lots of like video games and all that other stuff, till eventually we were like, all right, let's give it a go, we'll try it. And it was a lot of math because this was 3.5 edition, not 5e.
Very
for anybody
punchy.
Yeah, for anybody who knows Dungeons and Dragons, there's different versions of it, and we were in a very heavy number version, and my interpretation of it was like, I don't want to do math on my time off. Like, I don't want to have to do this. And I never played anything like it before. It was nothing like Monopoly, and it was definitely not a card game. So it was just like, what is this game? And it actually took me about 4 years to like it. But I didn't want to get out of it because I was hanging out with my friends and we were making really funny jokes, and we loved how it just would escalate into stupidity, and that was kind of the all fun of it. But eventually, after year 4, I started to understand, oh, this could be like more of like a story. Like, it doesn't have to be just random events. You can actually do something with it. And one of the key things that happened with me was that I started to dungeon master, like DM. Or game master is also another word for it. And as I started to do that, I started to realize, oh, you don't have to think too hard about it. Just roll a dice, put some numbers with it, and then the story is really what is pulling me with it. I want to see what happens next because it's completely improv. It's like, yes, as the dungeon master, you can plan a certain amount, but at the end of the day, the players that are in front of you are going to help tell the story, and you have no idea what's in their brain. So it was really just like, it escalated from there. And then ever since then, I've just really enjoyed it.
I was the other end of the resistance, keeping her in it because I really had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed, doing stupid games with my friends, and we made all the dumb jokes, of course. But for me, I had a similar turning point where I already liked Dungeons and Dragons quite a lot. But then, as I was the dungeon master in one of our games, I started to play around more with story, where suddenly it's like, oh, what if we have like a little serious, dramatic character moment or something like that? And they really they all loved it.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of evolved for me as well, from being just a fun little story to just a fun little game to actually becoming like a fully fledged story. I also did a lot of like I do just as a hobby, I do video game development as well. And Dungeons and Dragons allowed me to actually play around with like designing, a whole lot of different game mechanics and stuff like that. So I had fun in many different ways in D&D and still do.
I also took a little while to warm up to it. Because there's that level of playing D&D where you kind of have to commit to it. You have to go back to that primal self, your 6-year-old that wants to play pretend in the middle of the schoolyard. That's kind of, you have to reintroduce that kid back into your adult life and be like, hi, here, you're a druid now. Go have fun.
Yeah.
There's numbers now. Don't worry about it though. So for me, that was when I really started to unlock D&D for myself as being a really fun outlet. Was just getting to go back to playing pretend, basically. Except I always say that with D&D, because there's numbers involved, you can't have that one kid who says, "Oh, I deflected because I had a magical shield the entire time." And it's like, no, you didn't, Jeffrey. You didn't say that.
We were like an art rivals in a good way. We were friends right off the bat, but we both had art styles that were kind of similar, kind of not. But like, we were both just like, I really like your art, and I'm going to try to get better than you.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing one of your like art introductions. You're like, hi, I'm Dingo. This is the thing that I draw. I mean, I saw that and I was like, shit, that's so cool. I need to be friends with her.
So funny enough, so the name Dingo comes from when I went to art college with Avery, and there was somebody else who was named Jenna. So there was 2 Jennas. It was me and then my friend, who actually is a character in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so we both had the same name, and she approached me the very first day of art college, and she's like, "This is a problem," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is gonna be a problem." So I told her my last name, which is Dingo, and she's like, "You're Dingo now," and I'm like, "All right," and then
It just kind of stuck.
yeah, and hers was Puddles. Like, we just call her Puddles because that was linked to her last name. So it was like, okay, I guess it's Dingo and Puddles now. And it was funny because people who didn't know that story, who were in my art college, thought I was crazy. They thought we were crazy. But then later on, when they found out, oh, we have the same name, they were like, oh, that was a good decision. So from there on out, my friends who I went to art college with, they just know me by Dingo. And it kind of bled into my work. And then, of course, all my art. So eventually it just was Dingo.
One of my favorite things is to play characters who do not know what their own backstory is. That became a huge key feature of the character that I was playing. Gothy was she just woke up in a swamp one day with no memories. And getting to explore D&D means getting to explore a collective story and a collective character too. So I also liked not entirely knowing what I was getting myself into, and then slowly, slowly piecing things together and slowly cracking the shell and figuring out what led to this person becoming who they were and how that influences their effects on the story.
Well, Fool's Gold is a story about, a group of funny kind of misfit adventurers exploring a world that I like to call the world's most dangerous jungle. So when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, it's like a buffet. Everybody has a different idea of what a world can be. And for me, I like to find unique settings that haven't been explored much, or at least that I haven't seen much of, which is why I chose a jungle setting. And well, it's basically this tale of how these adventurers who used to be merchants kind of get roped into quest after quest to uncover the remnants of an ancient civilization who have left behind some fairly advanced technology. And throughout their adventure, they discover, who this society was, what happened to them, and then, well, dealing with their aftermath, I guess. Not to mention dealing with their own aftermath because of a lot of stupid decisions adding up. Very funny moments. As the game master, I'm kind of putting down the pieces of, of the challenges, right? There could be social challenges of like, hey, you need to get some information out of this guy. Or there can be, skill challenges. Well, fight this monster or try to traverse this cliff.
Yeah.
And then, you guys then have to deal with that.
Yeah. So I played a character that was a monkey. Jungle setting, had to play a monkey.
Yeah.
But his whole thing was that he was an awakened monkey with a cursed crocodile hand. So he has like the monkey's paw thing, where you make a wish on the monkey's paw and it goes real bad. Well, that was kind of what I wanted for this character, where whenever he would cast, because he was a caster, so he did sorcery, stuff like that, there was a chance it could go bad. And that's him working through that, through his story, as I realized I love playing characters that are wrong. They're like, they mess up a lot. They have a weird sense of self. They also have a skewed perception of reality in some way. And that through playing these characters, I find out what is their core issue, what is their core, like, personal mechanic. And for my character Sips, I was realizing through playing him, there's a lot of like self-hatred and everything, because you keep messing up and make mistakes, and with magic going chaotic, you don't know what's going to happen. So he gets very crunchy, we call it, where he doesn't want to be touched, and he doesn't like friends, and he doesn't like getting close to people. And it's him working through that with his friends, and him trying to essentially get help, but he's not good at it. He very much wants to do this on his own. So, and which, when you play these characters, you do realize you have influenced those characters. These are things that do pop up in your own personal psychology, at least for me, where I'm trying to figure out like, oh, this character is actually helping me learn how to accept help, stuff like that.
I have a soft spot for creatures. So because my character actually is a druid, Her name is Gothy. She's most well known for being a tall Amazonian woman with a wooden mask over her face. And she always has with her her trusty companion Jawbone, which is a large shark hound the size of a horse, more or less. So immediately, like we're leaning into loving the creatures. We're loving the lore of like who are these creatures? How did they get here? Because of course you can't have a deadly jungle without having things that want to eat you. And Gothy also came with she was also a potion master. So there was a lot of brewing, a lot of what can I make to mess somebody up, to ruin somebody else's day, which usually ended up being a very potent potato themed. It's either poison or perhaps explosion. But so God, how can you even choose one thing to like about a campaign when literally it's an entire buffet and everyone is bringing something else to the table? It's like, what do I want here? I have anything I could ask for and more. Well, basically, like when the module started to become formed and we knew that we needed to ask artists, with Dingo and I being artists full-time, artists in our hobbies, she, of course, turned to me and said, would you like to work on the book? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they were like, okay, you get to be the lead artist. Here's all of these things we need done. And it's like, oh, okay. Thankfully, I'm one of those trial by fire artists that actually works quite well under pressure. And it's one of those moments where I got to actually evolve quite fast as an artist, just based off of like, oh, I've never had to draw robots before. Cool. I guess I'm going to draw robots today. Oh, I guess I've never drawn sentient plants today. Oh, I guess we're figuring that out. But thankfully, Dingo and I also, because we've known each other for coming up on, almost 10 years at that point, we'd known each other. We had actually
12.
Yeah, by then we had learned how to kind of pass back each other's art styles to the point where I could draw in a way that was faithful to the Fool's Gold YouTube videos and still make it feel like it was still in the same universe, which was fairly important because it does have that unique style. It's not as quite as grand and glorious and Lord of the Rings as the typical module. It's a little bit more Nickelodeon. It's a little bit more rubber.
Something that's really cool about like Dungeons and Dragons as a whole is it's a collaborative storytelling medium. So the cool thing is, as we all worked on our little projects, essentially, like from Dingo retelling it, from me doing like the campaign setting with everybody, is we got to expand the world. So Avery was the lead artist, but she actually got to expand on the world with me. She was helping me fill in some of the gaps of like towns we hadn't explored, or like, hey, let's design this monster together and all these kind of things. So essentially, because D&D is so collaborative, we always were able to help each other, and with all our projects, we kept improving them with each other's help as a team, which was really, really awesome. And I think it's one of the reasons why our story is so unique, to be honest.
I think it's very unique. Also, yeah. Avery, you just draw Gothy way better than I ever could. My process is very basic, as it's pretty much, it's a program called Paint Tool Sci, which is a very basic, like you draw and then you color and that's it. And then I move on to Premiere Pro Adobe. And then I just put those in there and I learned how to use Premiere Pro. I'm very comfortable with Premiere Pro. I learned that in animation college. So it's pretty much just the two programs, and of course like editing audio and stuff like that. But it's very basic. It's not very complicated. I've met some people that are like, they use Blender and all these other crazy rigs and all that, like cool stuff. And I'm just like, I just want to draw and just put it into a program and I hope it works. But it's all digital. I've been a digital artist since, 2008, and I've just, that's the great thing about Avery and I's work, is that we can really swap back and forth because we use a lot of the same programs.
I was just going to comment on how it's interesting that we like D&D is of course a collaborative creative effort, and like everything that we've done since then, even before that, has been, like you call it, a collaborative creative effort. We're very comfortable passing the puck back and forth, and like I'll add the color, you add the line work, you add the speech bubbles. That was the campaign, that was the module, now that's the graphic novel. It's just kind of how we ended up operating as a trio.
Each one of us kind of created something for Fool's Gold based on their specialty. Dingo made her animated videos, because animation is her specialty. I created the campaign setting, as like game design and writing is more my specialty. And now Avery's coming in and actually making the graphic novel, as comics is more of her specialty.
But Death by Karaoke is essentially talking about how ridiculous her entire campaign story is, and yet it is high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Karaoke session can cause an apocalypse, and I suggest you read it.
The Death by Karaoke is kind of the linchpin of the entire YouTube video's success, because it was that, oh, our silly monkey guy, your silly monkey guy, sang karaoke so bad he literally unleashed the apocalypse. That's what, I mean, that was the core first YouTube video, and now that's going to be the core first graphic novel.
We see it going forward following a similar structure to the videos, but we do change things because it is a new medium.
Yeah.
So we also can still iron out a few kinks in the story, or just kind of rearrange some elements to make them make more sense in a graphic novel setting. And actually the way these books are lining up is a bit like character focused. So, you know, this first book, I mean, Death by Karaoke, is very much based on the character of Sips and his glorious fuck up. So this first book is kind of focused around, you know, Sips's arc, Sips's story, and the second book that's coming out next year will be based more on like Gothy's story, you know, the next elements of the story. Not that they're exclusive, but just that each book has a little bit of a focus on a certain character or just a certain, you know, section of the story.